Good afternoon. Welcome for Friday's Inside Look by Brooks. Today we have a very special guest, Margaret Jones. Margaret, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate the invitation.
So Margaret is actually, I know Margaret from several places in the community. She's very involved in the community, but she's actually our law firm's chaplain, and she comes in once a week and kind of walks the halls and chats and builds relationships with the staff, and we'll get into that with what she does. But Margaret is an exceptionally nice, empathetic person that we love having here as our chaplain. So I thought it might be nice if we asked Margaret to come to Friday's Inside Look and kind of give you guys an insight into one of the programs we have here at Brooks Law Group, and maybe a little bit about the community and some of the surrounding communities. So again, welcome. We're glad to have you, Margaret.
Thanks for being here. I love to be here.
How about telling the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I have been in Winter Haven a little over 10 years, originally from New York City, by way of North Carolina, Charlotte. I was there for a year and a half.
So you don't have that New York accent.
No, I don't have the accent. You might hear a little Jamaican in the background because I'm originally from Jamaica. But I lived in New York for close to 30 years. I worked in the financial industry for over 20 years for an insurance company, financial services company. And about 10 years ago, felt called to full-time ministry. I had been in ministry probably like 16 years, but full-time working and serving the Lord, and opportunity that was given. I was invited to come to Winter Haven, which I had not heard about. So who ever heard of Winter Haven? Not me. And to come to Winter Haven to help pastor a church here in Winter Haven. And so I came not knowing anyone, I say but Jesus, and spent 8 years serving that ministry day to day, building lives and ministering to the people who live in Winter Haven and around. So it was tremendous doing that on a day-to-day basis.
Great. Well, I know that I know people in your former church community who love you, and you obviously have impacted a lot of people there. But you're also now with another Heart for Winter Haven that Brooks Law Group has a very close relationship with. So tell us a little bit about Heart for Winter Haven.
Well, Heart for Winter Haven, this is actually our 4th year. Heart for Winter Haven, our executive director is Brad Beatty, and Heart for Winter Haven was birthed out of a desire to bring connectedness into our city. That it works on the premise that we're called together in order to for the welfare of our city, and that if we work together, nonprofits, churches, and businesses, if we work together for the betterment of community, then we can meet the needs of the poor and the marginalized in a more effective way. And because I've seen this work in New York City with a program called Hope from New York, which said the same thing. Instead of having silos, that if business communities that are made up of people who really want to help their city, but sometimes they don't know how do I serve my city? How do I serve the people that, make them money or I give them a need, but how do I effectively serve their needs in a more effective way? And sometimes businesses don't know how to do that. Nonprofits who do that, a lot of times you're missing those people who would help them, who will be volunteers. And where are the volunteers? They're in the churches. And so how can we then move volunteers to working service areas that service the needs, but also give businesses an opportunity to be a part of that triad that can better serve the needs of the poor and marginalized. And then we become this connected city that can really be transformational. So not just about going home or going to a job, but how do I become part of a transformation movement in the place where I live? And Heart for Winter Haven's heart is to do that, is to mobilize people to work together, is to bring about connectedness between these 3 entities and individuals, is to engage people in dialogue where they don't get to engage in a place that's safe. Like last year we brought 2 commons and Q Commons was talking about, well, how can we bridge a divided city? And we wanted to bring it here because a lot of times as people, we don't get to talk about some of those hurtful issues, some of those divided issues in a way that's safe. And not just talk about them, but come up with solutions. How do we bring about solutions that we can get connected across gender lines, across racial lines, across denomination lines, but be able to do that in a way that's respectful, in a way that is not just about speaking about issues, but how can we solve those issues? And so we want to be able to engage conversation, we want to engage the issues that maybe people don't want to engage in, or they do it in a way that is disrespectful, that doesn't respect the individual. You have a right to your own ideas and ideology, and I can respect that even though I disagree, and do it in a way that's healthy and whole. And then to equip our city. One of the programs we have is our Jobs for Life program that we brought because we recognized there was a gap in joblessness in our city. People were either unemployed or underemployed, and we found this program that really spoke to not just about soft skills to help people gain a job and remaining a job, but also deals with those issues that maybe keep them from that. You know, why am I always late for work? Well, there might be an underlying issue that's going on there. Why is it that I get a job but I don't know how to keep it? And so it's a faith-based program that we utilize the scriptures and the principles of the scriptures to help people be able really to look at themselves and to help them, give them the skills in order to find out what am I made to do? What is my passion? Where are these skills? What am I experienced? And to really find what my destiny and my purpose is. And for me, I'm excited about that because for me, for someone who's come out of corporate America, but is also about transformational power of Jesus Christ and faith in Christ, that it marries that passion to help people. Because I know what work did for me as a high school dropout, as a single mom, as a teenager. I got the opportunity to step into an entry-level position, and it was through that job and 5 years later coming to faith in Christ that really transformed my life, where I became a college graduate, where the person I'm sitting here was really because of the opportunity to work and encountering Christ and him transforming my life.
Wow, that's amazing. So the way I understand Heart for Winter Haven is it's about mobilizing our resources in a more efficient way, because there could be literally 3 churches within a block of each other serving the homeless at night. So the homeless are getting overdone there, but 5 miles away, there's no. So how do you get everybody talking and get everybody kind of synergized on the same page so they're not duplicating services and it's a more efficient? Is there a software program you
right
use?
There's 2. We talk our software program. We have a software program called Meet the Need that is out of a ministry from Tampa, where a businessman, talk about business, who literally he received the Lord and said, what can I do to serve? And other than being a usher, we don't know, you just be an usher, or you just come and help serve. And he said, I'm a business person. There must be some way that I can serve. And so the same thing he saw here is you have a person who has a need, but yet the people who can meet that need, they don't know each other. There's no connectedness. And so he devised this platform called Meet the Need that was underwritten partway by Google and others. So it's free actually to churches and to ministries. And we found out about it because for exact same reason, we have people who need and they don't know where to go. Or we have this problem where somebody will go to one church and get food from this church, and then go to the second church and get food. And so all they're doing is kind of hoarding this. And so what Meet the Needs does is answer those problems. It's a platform that any organization, a church or a nonprofit can go on to. They sign on to it. If they need volunteers, they can put where their volunteers are. If someone comes to them, it does case management. If somebody comes to that nonprofit and says, I want food, they can go online and ask the person's name. They take protection, but they name and say, oh, you went to this church or to that church, and so instead of just meeting their need, well, how can we help you get you off where it becomes just getting food. What's the underlying problem? So it becomes not just about where we just give people, things that's practical things, but really what's the root cause and how can we effectively help you? And so churches and nonprofits or even individuals can go online. If you want to volunteer, you can go on to Meet the Need. You can go on our website at heartforwinterhaven.org, and you can sign up as a volunteer. And you can look and see what are the needs. We've had needs where someone says, I need a bed. And somebody look on there and say, oh, I have a bed. And they'll click it and say, and I'll meet that need. Or we did this year we did our MLK Day of Service, where we had churches in the area, people who just wanted to volunteer. And so they went on to meet the need. We had the need for volunteers to serve in MLK. And they would just click on and said, I'll be a volunteer. I'll have paint, or I'll help, do a planter in front of an organization. And so it's a way for those who have needs to get their needs serviced, but it's also for a way to manage this duplication that happens. And it's only as effective as the organizations who sign up and are putting those requests, are putting those needs, and are looking to see, did this person go to the Church of the Nazarene or this church or that church? And then they're able to say, okay, so there's an underlying problem here. This person, let's see if we can sit down and try to help what the ongoing is. So that is the real goal for Meet the Need. And then especially for nonprofit organizations, and we looked at hunger as being an issue. We've had a couple of hunger summits where we bring in some of these organizations and churches who do that and talk about what's the most effective way that we can really work on this hunger issue. Because it's not just giving people a bag of food. It's really seeing what is the underlying issues that are going on that we might not be able to solve them, but at least we can begin to identify what these are and how can we as a community effectively speak to that underlying issue and help it, rather than just give them a bag of food. That doesn't really solve the problem. All it does is really put a Band-Aid on it.
So, and I remember last year when I went to the summit, there was a national newspaper article that came out that said that Polk County was it number one?
Number two.
Number two in the nation for food insecurity.
Yes.
So who was number one? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember.
So number two for food insecurity. Now, that doesn't mean people are starving. It just means people are really hungry a lot.
Right.
So we're the second in the nation for really hungry people. And is that mainly economic?
Well, it's a number of things. I wish it could be just a one answer, but some of it is transportation. We have a transportation problem. This where you just spoke about, where someone is in, say, northwest part, and they really don't have the transportation to get to a grocery store. There's no viable, like a Save-A-Lot or a Winn-Dixie, because they might look and say there's not enough people there, so there's no grocery store there. So that makes them to be food insecure as well. So it's a varied amount of issues. So transportation is one. Yes, poverty level is another. When we look at people's health, if they're healthbound, we had one guy who called our office who said, I've not eaten in 3 days. Wow. I don't have transportation. His brother used to be there. He's gone, he's gone. So how, to get food? And in that instance, we were able to call Champions Church, who serves the community twice a month, and next door seniors, and say, do you guys might have some box of food? And so we went and picked up a box of food, brought it to him, and then didn't just bring it to him and said, okay, this is the way that now there's a place you can have food. This is the transportation that you can get in that area to get there. So here he is, he's housebound because he has no transportation. He didn't know where to go to get food, and we were that connectedness to get there. But it's not just saying we're going to bring you food every month. Well, here is the steps that you can take, that you can be a part of your own solution. And so the issues about our food hunger are, I wish I could say we could have a one-stop solution to it, but transportation, poverty, joblessness are huge issues that we will not solve in a week or a month, or even with I wish I could say with a platform. It takes ongoing dialogue. Sure. It takes ongoing talking like these. I said, how can we best serve the needs of those who are in that place where there's no transportation? So talking to our county commissioners talking to people and saying, these are people who are overlooked, and how do we connect them? How do we best serve their needs? So I wish there was a one-stop solution that we could have for that. But I think the more that we're having a hunger summit, bringing people to the table who are able to address maybe solutions. I think one of the best ministers that we have here to do that is our Elder Point Ministry. Elder Point Ministries. She was originally out of Lakeland. This is Jane Hammond. Heard about Hartford Winter Haven and the goal to bring connectedness, and so she came. She's actually in our. She actually works out of our offices. It's about partnership. We partner with her, and so what she does is food kiosk, and so fresh food she brings to senior buildings and senior places all across Polk County, and so that seniors can have fresh food that they can purchase for a minimal cost. And so where they can travel, she brings that. It's a little grocery store that's right by you, where you can get fresh foods in your area. So from Mulberry to here in Winter Haven, she has a team that goes out and brings this fresh food so that people can purchase at a minimal rate. So they're eating fresh food, not processed canned, but it's fresh farmers food that they can get. And so that ministry, and then she also does what's called Bluebird, where because seniors for transportation, she provides transportation at minimal cost, whether to go to the doctor or you go to visit a friend or whatever, they actually have that available for seniors. And so she is part of that answer of that partnership and connectedness, and has been just really part of this partnership we have created in order to meet some of those needs.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So geographically, Hartford Winter Haven is obviously based in Winter Haven. Does it serve like other cities in East Polk County, like Auburndale?
It does. It's a greater Winter Haven area. So, for instance, our actually Jobs for Life class, we have had people as far away as Lakeland who've come. So in Auburndale. So we're geographically, we serve the greater Winter Haven area. We have people come from Bartow as well. And so it's where the need is that we will serve. And so Hartford Winter Primary is a greater Winter Haven area that where you come, you have a need, we're here for you.
So Haines City, Lake Wales.
Haines City, Lake Wales, anything that's really in Polk County. We're really about, because we recognize not only the food issue in Polk County, but we're part of a county that we know the poverty rate is lower in some. Yes, we have a high income, but we know there are serious problems here in Polk County as a whole. And hopefully that we can not only be an example here in Hartford Winter Haven, but we have been in dialogue with a similar ministry that's in Lakeland. We're going to try to do some connectedness with them in order to bring connectedness and talking. We had a couple of meetings with them, so we're going to be working on how we can work together to connect
what's the
again.
Name of that ministry?
It's called City United, I believe. I might be wrong, but they started a ministry there. They started the same type of ministry, and they actually started as church-based and bringing churches together. They've been doing the Q Commons for a number of years before we did, and that's how we learned about each other. And that's when we said, okay, we need to connect this. And so that Lakeland, so sometimes we're overlooked, Winter Haven, because Lakeland is bigger, but we're part of the same county. And how can we work together? This idea of connectedness again, in order so that we can do more work as a whole.
Now, for our Hillsborough and Plant City viewers, Tampa viewers, is there any ministry or anything similar to Hartford Winter Haven in Tampa?
I'm sure there is. I don't know any off the top of my head, but I know in Tampa, our Jobs for Life program is there. I know Tampa has a varied amount of the ministries, so I'm sure that there are ministries there. But if anyone is interested in Jobs for Life, there's Jobs for Life in Tampa. There is I think because we were there, we visited a couple of the organizations when we were doing our past training there that do locally in the Tampa as well. If you're in Hillsborough County, all you have to do is go to jobsforlife.org, and they will have a list of organizations that serve in the Tampa area. I'm not sure about Plant City as well, but this we call city connecting organizations are really popping up a lot over the course of many states, because for the exact idea, how can we, if there's needs that are multiple needs, Not one organization can fulfill that need. And so we have an organization that becomes that center of that wheel, so that we can come together and work together. Many are catching that vision that we need to have this connectedness. We need to talk to the businesses. A lot of what why we moved on Jobs for Life, because we had business owners who were looking for employees. And so what they said was, we have jobs, but people want a paycheck, but they don't want to work. And so how can we combat that? Yes, you want a paycheck. Well, we have to then begin to build in people a work ethic. We begin to work in integrity and honesty, which is what a lot of employers, what they're looking for. You want somebody who's there on time. You want someone who is honest. You want someone who has integrity, because then you can leave the store to them and you know that they're gonna be loyal to you. And so we recognize that we need to help build those kinds of character traits in individuals to help them be effective employees, so that employers we can hire people in Winter Haven and they will stay in Winter Haven. And what will they do? They'll help grow.
Yeah, and from what I've observed, it's when I've been involved in Jobs for Life, it is a character building, and it teaches people that work is good. God designed us for work. Mm-hmm. That we get satisfaction from working hard. We have a sense of self-worth. Yes. When we show up and do what we're supposed to do. And so it actually creates a real positive effect on people. Mm-hmm. And the Jobs for Life is what, 9 weeks? The Jobs for Life, we had typically run it it's a 16-week class that we had typically run for 12 weeks. We'll be starting again in April. And we're actually going to be doing the full 16-week class in 8 weeks. We're going to be doing 2 classes a week. It's going to be at Grace Lutheran. They've been very gracious to us in hosting us, another part of connecting the city together. So here's a church who has opened their doors, and they have helped in serving with food. They've helped serve us in many ways. And so we so appreciate them doing that. And so we're actually we start in April, 2 times a week, Tuesday and Thursday. Anyone is interested in, they can also go onto our website, which I hope you guys will link, and they can call us. And if they want to be in that program, and it's not just for unemployed. It's people who are underemployed, because if you're a mom with 4 kids, really kind of making $8.50 an hour, it's not going to cut it. It's not going to. So you can also be a part of it, because the skills are transferable. Skills and character are transferable. You can train somebody in your group here, but if you have someone who has a character that you're looking for, you can train them those skills. When I started working I worked at, you probably won't know it, but TIA Craft, and my first job, I was a preparer terminal operator. Big. I was 18 years old. I had a baby, and I got this entry-level job, and all I did for a year was put PIN numbers on people's files and put them in the computer. Back then it wasn't a computer; it was just this tablet. You put it in. And I did it, and I was 18. I did it for a year. My first paycheck, I was making $185 every 2 weeks. But I had a plan in my head, and I said, I'll be here for a year, and then I'm going to look for a job, the next step up, which was a film technician. And back in the day, you had your files on fiches, and I was that film technician who filmed that. And I did that for 2 years. And I said, okay, this is great, but I'm going to look for a promotion. And I applied. The job opened. I applied for a position that was 3 steps over pay grade, and I got it. And I ended up after a number of years, ended up becoming administrator because the opportunities were there, and they trained me. And after I was a mentor in Jobs for Life, and after I went through that program, I came back here to the law firm and said, why aren't we training people here? And so we actually started Case Manager University, Paralegal University, and Clerical University, so that we can train our people from the ground up. Mm-hmm. And we hire for values and integrity, and then we can input the skills in them and create long-term. So I got that from Jobs for Life.
That's wonderful. And what I love about Jobs for Life is not only transformation that it does in students, but also as champions, as you, and I think each were part of our champions. A champion is a person that walks alongside one of our students, and really they're their cheerleaders. They walk alongside them. They encourage them. They also, if they need to, critique them. But they are that key person that as this person goes through Jobs for Life, as they go through looking at themselves, that's a person that is walking alongside them. And I think that's what makes it key. But when I look at the champions, and the champions are people who are part of churches, who are part of business, or are business owners, I see the transformation happening in them like it did in you. We had one champion after being in the class say, wait a minute, this is not this, what I'm doing right now is not my passion. I really want to teach. And he ended up leaving his job and became a college professor right now. Yeah, because he took those same principles into his heart. And so to see both sides of it, both the student getting transformed and champions and leaders. I've taught the class. This is our fourth class. So I'm the main instructor. I and change every time I do it. Because everyone who comes in, what they say most is the community that's built. And that's where creating a community where someone who's been living in Winter Haven for years who thinks no one cares, they come into a Jobs for Life community and they meet business owners, they meet people in the community, in churches, that they can say, oh my goodness, my city is for me. They're for me.
Yeah, we want you to succeed.
Yes,
yeah.
We want you. And 9 out of 10 of our students have said that it's not about the job. And yes, we want you to get employed, but to understand that you're of a value, that you're valuable to God, that there's a purpose for your life, that there are people in your city that cares about you, that there are people in your city who not only care about you, but that we've had people who invest their monies, because every day, every time we meet, we have dinner for all of our students who walk alongside. All of the materials are underwritten and paid for. So they don't, it's free to them, but we say to them, we're setting the table. It's up to you to take part of that table. And so watching those kind of dynamics, watching what it does for business owners and seeing the transformation into our city, that's what you want. A little at a time. We might not be able to change the whole world, but maybe we can transform one life.
Well, you know how you eat an elephant. You eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Exactly.
So we just got a few minutes left. I want to kind of switch gears and get you to talk a little bit about your role as a chaplain. You don't just serve us, but you serve other businesses throughout the the county. And I just kind of wanted to get an idea or give the viewers an idea what a chaplain does, and do you have to be a Christian to talk to you? And tell us about your role.
A chaplain is, if I put it, is one who cares. A chaplain, and of course people have heard of military chaplains, where I'm what's called a Marketplace Chaplain, because unfortunately our society has become very disconnected. People move around and their community or their family is not there. And so what the chaplain does is really care for the needs of the employees at a business. And those needs can run from, spiritual, we're there for spiritual needs, but also physical and social, and also practical. I had, I served 4 businesses, 3 of them in Polk County, 1 of them in Plant City. And I had one young man who, in the midst of the hurricane, whose roof had peeled off and didn't know what to do, who to call to. And so I met him a job. He was talking to me about this was going on. And so I said, okay, let me see what I can find out. So I can find help to get a tarp to you. And this person lived in Haines City. And so called around and found that somebody had a tarp here in Winter Haven so that we could go and get there. And so it's practical needs as well as spiritual needs and emotional needs. It's really about saying there's someone for you. There's someone walking alongside. No matter what you're going through, you have someone in your corner, and I want to be that someone. And everything that's shared within, if someone asks, is confidential. Steve doesn't know what his staff might be telling me about him. You won't know. But I'm really here to care for them and to really care for the business. Part of what I believe is my responsibility, that I pray for the prosperity of the business that I serve. Because as they prosper, their staff will prosper. And as their staff are transformed, as they are dealing with issues, because your life is more than work.
Sure.
If you have a child that's sick, you're going to be worrying about that child when you come to work. And so to have someone like a chaplain that says, "They'll call, Margaret, my child is sick. Can you pray for my child?" or do you know someone or some place where, you know, who'll help take care? And so bringing that practical resources, but also being that voice of encouragement. And just that person that's there. Because sometimes it's just about having someone that's there.
And it's not about, I mean, they don't have to be a Christian.
They don't have to be a Christian. You just have to be a person.
Just a person.
Just a person.
A lot of people get stuck on that, you know, that, oh, they're going to push Christianity on me. Or no. This is about humans connecting with humans.
Exactly.
And walking together with each other.
Yeah.
Now, do you enjoy it?
Can you tell? I do love it. I love people, and I don't have all the answers. I wish I did, but I don't. And a lot of times you hear people's hurts, and you know, half the time I'm saying, as you're sharing with me, I'm in my heart, I'm really talking to God and saying, God, how can I help? And sometimes it's like, I'll hold your hand and I'm there with you.
Right. Because
sometimes it's about, don't fix me, just can you hear me? Is someone hearing me? Is someone there for me?
You know, I don't know about you, I'm claustrophobic. And when I go in those MRI machines that are real close, I mean, I literally almost just can't do it. But I remember one time there was the assistant said, well, just put your hand out and I'll hold your hand. And just knowing someone there was holding my hand allowed me to get through that process. So I kind of relate that to what you're saying.
Yeah, it is. But I also get, and I speak specifically for Brooks, it's my favorite business out of the other four that I serve.
Oh, I paid you to say that. Right?
But the other side is, me as a chaplain, I receive so much from the staff as well. I become, for me, especially because I felt that I've become part of the family, and I love these men and women. And it's life is not easy. We wish it was. Hurts and pains happen in a place like Brooks Law Group. You guys see that all the time, where people's lives are hurt, they're broken. And if you can have someone, you know, for some of us, we don't have mom, we don't have dad, but if you can have someone that says, I'm with you, I'm going to hold you up, I'm there for you. Money cannot buy that. The job in itself, you know, can't, but to know that you're valued and you're cared for, no matter who you are or where you are, can transform a hurt. Might not fix it, but can transform it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. You're very gracious. And Margaret is a force. I mean, she is just one of a kind, and we love having you as our chaplain, and we do feel like you're part of the family. So I hope you'll come back and visit someday in the future.
I will. I hope you are gracious. This is new to me. I think this is only the second time I've done a Facebook Live, and I think I hit out on the first one. But I so appreciate it. Thank you so much, Steve. You and the business have really made me, and the staff have really made me family in very unique ways that they have loved on me, and I thank God for them and appreciate you for inviting me. Hopefully, you get a lot of mercy and grace on me for doing this. But thank you so much for having me, and so appreciate it.
Well, we thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you guys next Friday at 3 p.m. So thanks for joining us today.